Hey, Wasil, it's good to see you again and be back. I'm glad we had a chance to come back and reconnect. It's been, a month, I think, since the last time we talked, and excited to hear about all the things you've been working on and things you've been up to. Real quick, just to kind of remind everybody, tell us a bit about your background and tell us a little bit about Todai.
So yeah, glad to be here. It literally has only been a month, but I swear it's already felt like a year. I'm not too sure why, but it's crazy how time moves in this space. For the most part, my background is dropped out of high school, went to college, dropped out of college, was so interested in art, but then I really needed to make money to even make the art. So I went into crypto. And then since then I never left. I got in fact like infatuated with the technology. And even though as a young person, I like tech, like I like using tech, playing video games, I never had a desire to want to make a game. I always wanted to make a movie, but I never really got into like, well, how did these things actually come about? But once I got into crypto, it just opened my world to, I don't know, an entirely different world, which is, I used to think you couldn't affect those kind of things. Like you can't change money. You can't change like the foundational protocols that control how we communicate and so forth. And when I discovered you could, I was like, dude, this is way cooler than a video game. This is real life. And you can maybe turn real life into a video game. So that's what brought me here. And that's why I'm still here.
You talk about a little bit about your journey, like what inspired you to get started with the Todai app, and what specific problem are you solving?
So interestingly enough, I've discovered that maybe what the problem you immediately were trying to solve remains, or when you're building an app, you might have an idea or a problem you want to solve, but as time goes on, you discover other problems to solve. And so when I first made or was thinking of making Todai, I was like, I just want a platform that people can show up, again, log in without an email or a third party and say what they want. Maybe it's not the prettiest social media anyone's ever seen, but for the most part, they can get what they want out of it and keep their data, be in control of it, have whatever tag they want, send money peer to peer through crypto. And that was the basic kind of goal. But here recently, I feel like a whole new use case has opened up with the kind of what is it, a magic trick that was pulled on us with TikTok, where one day we're being told it's going to be banned. And so unbanned, everyone would be waking up right now, not having any access to their TikTok data, their videos and so forth. And, it's like, well, at the end of the day, Todai was just supposed to be a place people can go to and say what they want. But then I realized it could also be a place that people, if it became large enough and whatever the conversations were happening on there became, I would hope not dangerous, but at the same time, you could say not according to the status quo, there would be no way for somebody to stop that and remove the power of voice from these people. And so that's kind of like a new thing that's come together, is not just giving people the fundamental ability to say what they want and send money to somebody without a fee, but now let's have something that nobody can take away from us. Because I still think a lot of people don't understand how quickly everything they have that's connected to them on the internet can be taken away. Like somebody could wake up tomorrow and literally their bank account not be accessible, all their socials not be accessible, their email not even being accessible. And the reason that that's the case is because we're dependent on everybody else. And ArcBlock has shown me that you don't have to do that anymore. You can make your own stuff. And I even hope that making Todai, it doesn't end up becoming the greatest social network ever, but it proves to everybody that we can start making our own. We don't need Elon's social network. We don't even need TikTok. We don't need China. We don't need anybody. It's not to say we can't use those things, but we shouldn't be entirely dependent. And that's how I feel about Todai. Is I just want to show people, even if you don't use this thing, you can make this thing and you don't have to, always result or revert back to them.
So you have some strong opinions about centralization versus decentralization,
I
sounds like.
I absolutely do. I think as far as like, if we look at the last like 50 years, the world's been just moving to a more like totally centralized, you know, I think framework. That's the whole point of Davos. That's the whole point of globalization. Now, I am excited for the fact that people are starting to get more intrigued with nationalism again. But at the same time, I don't know if nationalism will absolutely be able to stop us from going totally centralized. And what I'm hoping is, in some sense, that we find a happy medium. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of total centralization, but I hope that the powers that be don't restrict us from getting some kind of decentralization. And I'm hoping with the new administration that, regardless what they do, that they allow us to at least do that. I mean, if Trump can launch a meme coin, then I should be able to do, almost whatever I want to some extent that's not illegal. And that's the one thing I'm excited about is just being able to not have to, I don't know, abide by the 70-year project that was started after World War II and start to question the narrative a bit and say, well, you know, do we even need this form or this kind of system? And I'm excited just for this entire century, to put it simply, because I think this century will be the century that we question whether or not nation states are even meaningful anymore. Nation states kind of erupted like almost 200 to 300 years ago with, the dawn of America, the French Revolution, and so forth. So these ideas that we have and live by today are very new. And I wonder if they can be upgraded, transformed, and made better. Like, can we have a government without the government? I think most of what the government does can be totally automated, and there's no reason why it can't be. And so that's what I'm bullish on. And I want to take people out a little bit, but also not leave it all to AI to do it again for us. We need DIDs. We need these kind of zero knowledge proof protocols. So these guys don't just tell us we're keeping your privacy in check or we're keeping a good eye out for your privacy. I don't believe you guys. I just want to know the software is doing it because I don't believe you guys. So I think the entire world is moving to a paradigm where we trust software more than the government. And Bitcoin is the advent of that. And I think that's going to continue to take shape.
So let's go one step further down with that. And working with Todai, like, what's your vision for how apps like Todai and really, agent apps, for example, are going to help shape the future of, Web3 decentralized apps? It kind of move towards this vision that you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's kind of hard to describe something you haven't seen yet. All I know is to some degree what Agent and you could say the ArcBlock platform, the DID wallet, what Todai is supposed to do is kind of like what I feel like ArcSphere's goal is, which is we've been using or we've been looking at a two-dimensional screen. What if we can make a better product? And what I hope Agent and Todai can do with ArcBlock is just present a better product. Like, with TikTok being banned here recently for that short moment of time, everyone was running to the little red book. And so I was like, what is this little red book? I'm going to download it. I'm going to check it out. I download it and I can't even like read most of what's going on because it's in Chinese. But the surprising thing is I still could use the app. Like, I could still navigate it. And the interface is one of the sexiest interfaces I've seen on a social media app. So to some extent, what I hope we can do is make better products. I feel like for the last 20 years, China's been copying us. But for whatever reason, in social media specifically, they're starting to get ahead of us on. And I'm like, there's no reason why they should be ahead of us on that note. It's not like their user interface is beyond our reach. And so what I think is going to be useful is creating apps nobody can take away from us. That's what ArcBlock, DID Wallet, and Agent will allow, same like with Todai combined. But building better products, like we need to start showing people something they haven't seen. And again, I like listening to guys like Peter Thiel and so forth. Even though I may not agree exactly with what he thinks, I like listening to what they're saying because some of these guys really do have a lot of power and influence, and what they're thinking might be, an inevitable outcome because they have so much pull and play. But what I kind of feel like is what he mentioned kind of before is like when the internet first came out, it was really difficult to guess the biggest apps on the internet. And what we could guess though is that they're not going to look like what we've been seeing. And all I hope to do is make something that we haven't seen yet. And it's kind of hard to do, but at the same time, it shouldn't be that hard. Like we're all looking at it's almost like the Schrodinger quote, or like I'm sure there's like 10 different people you could attribute this to, but we're all looking at the same thing and we need to figure out how to look at it differently and see something different. And I'm kind of tired of the fact that we can't, like why does X look like it did 20 years ago? Why does, Meta look like Meta did 10 years ago or whatever? Even Instagram is like just images. It's literally a boring place to visit. And the algorithms are also kind of garbage too. I don't understand how China is able to make these algorithms that to some extent, I can't even use the apps because I get so addicted to it. They are literally aiming a psychological weapon at your dome, and it's kind of powerful how gripping it is. But at the same time, it's like, well, why can't we build that? What are they doing that we aren't doing? And I'm tired of waiting for these guys to do it. And so I just feel like, what I hope we do is beat them. As simple as that. Just give me the position. I promise you, I'll promise you I'll do it better. But at the same time, we need to just prove that we can. So that's what I hope to do, is get us there. I think it's a competition. And the fact that they were able to, like the PayPal mafia, because that's really what this is. The PayPal mafia has completely circumvented the American government. And I'm impressed by that, which tells me we can circumvent them in time. And it just depends on vision and goals. So that's kind of like how I feel about it. These guys excite me by what they've done. And then I'm also frustrated that they're not doing what I would be doing, to say the least. So it's a little bit of that.
It's how it goes. It's how it goes sometimes. Well, let me ask you this, and this is a kind of a specific application of what you're describing. NFTs are traditionally viewed, I've seen a lot of people view them as like art pieces, for example, like digital art. So Todai, I've noticed, and kind of speaking to your vision, and Todai is taking a bit of a broader approach. How do you see, kind of applying what you're just saying, but how do you see the artistic value of NFTs evolving in the future, and or transforming the way people see things as they consume it, kind of what you're describing a minute ago?
So I would say NFTs will most certainly play, how would I put it? I think obviously NFTs will remain the paradigm of art. Like all art is going digital, and a lot of wealth will be tokenized and put on chain. But with that being said, what the NFTs will then do, specifically ArcBlock NFTs, I mean, that's what I like. For example, let's just have a hypothetical. You could take the Mona Lisa, tokenize it on the Arc blockchain, and then somehow or another, say on Ethereum, you would just stop there. Hey, do you want to own a fraction of the Mona Lisa? In 2021, that sounded like a cool idea. But what if you could somehow tokenize the Mona Lisa, and then every NFT at the same time was a credential, and then you threw gatherings, you threw events, or something like that, where there's a network around the Mona Lisa. So I think what NFTs will undoubtedly do is they will transform cults. NFTs will become the new kind of, like, throughout the 90s and 80s, like cult films, you know what I mean? Like not crazy cults, but cults that form around content. And we already see it a little bit with memes, but I think it's going to get even crazier, where aesthetic, take, and vision are going to come together, and it's in some ways going to allow people to collect data, not knowing where it's going to go from there. So the same way people in the 70s and 80s collected comic books and they didn't know why, but they were hoping that someday it'll be worth something. I think people are going to continually collect data, ways to collect data. Just for the simple fact, you have this form of ownership. I mean, really, the only way I access the DID spaces that I have is through like the NFT passport credential and so forth. So I think that is going to be proliferated. Like basically everybody's going to have a data silo like DID spaces, and the only way you get in is through that NFT. And maybe they mint more NFTs. So if you want to get in to see their data, you got to buy an NFT. So there's so many different kinds of stuff, but NFTs can be used for DAOs. That's what I plan to do for Todai, to be specific. I'm going to do basically like 40 NFTs, sell them for like 40 ABT, nothing too crazy. But if you buy it, that NFT is going to get you access to have a voice into the future of Todai. So just being able to, how would I put it, change. And we haven't even mentioned games. Like games are going to be ridiculous crazy with NFTs, whether or not gamers believe it. I mean, think about Fortnite. Fortnite could go crazy with NFTs. All the time, my nieces and nephews are talking about they wish they could buy someone's account. I wish they could get, or I wish I could get a skin that was from an older season, but because that season's done and gone, you can't buy that skin anymore. And I'm like, you know what? This would be solved if everyone just had NFTs as the skins. Your weapon's an NFT, your skin's an NFT. Now it doesn't matter if Fortnite or Epic Games goes down. You still have your data, you still have your assets, and maybe Fortnite disappears, and that makes all the assets even more valuable. I don't even know, but that's kind of like how I see it, to be completely honest. And but it's one of those things. Again, it's almost difficult to describe how, because like, how do you again describe something you haven't seen? But that's how I feel about it. I want to mention more about NFTs in reference to the agent app that I want to talk about a little bit later, because I think it's pretty cool.